From the Wayne County Courthouse in Goldsboro, North Carolina, Wayne Goldsboro Television brings you the meeting of the Wayne County Board of Commissioners. The meeting begins shortly with an agenda briefing, then the regular meeting will begin soon after. Please stand by for the Wayne County Board of Commissioners meeting.
Call to order our agenda meeting on August the 2nd. So let's go through here and see what we've got on our agenda. We do have a closed session this morning, is that correct? That's correct. So we need to go ahead and get through this so we go through our closed session. Call to order, invocation, Commissioner Gurley, pledge of allegiance, Commissioner Mayo, approval of the minutes of July the 19th, discussion and adjustment of agenda. We've got 4 items here we're adding.
Right, I've handed those out to you. Let me go over those briefly. They're all under new business, so we just add them as 10, 11, 12, and 13. The first is we had a meeting with officials in Fremont and with the LGC yesterday, and we were on the telephone. I was on the telephone call with the LGC last Thursday about this. The LGC wants to see a study done of a possible merger or regionalization of the sewer systems in Eureka, Fremont, Goldsboro, and Wayne County. We had some discussions about this, I believe, back in April. And I know that Commissioner Aycock was at that meeting. I don't remember if Ray, I think you were there.
Yeah.
And Ray and Bill were at the meeting yesterday. Basically, what they're looking for is for the county to be the applicant to go after a state grant, which would pay for this, and it would basically determine if it makes economic and financial and operational sense to possibly go regional with this. As you know, those systems are all tied together now. It's not like you have to run line to tie them together. Our system goes into Goldsboro's, Eureka's goes into Fremont, Fremont's goes into Goldsboro. Ultimately, all of our sewage ends up at Goldsboro wastewater treatment plant. So what we've done, the LGC has sent a letter to those 3 cities and towns saying that they want them to undergo this study, but the state will pay for it. So we would be the applicant. So number 10 would be a motion to authorize the manager to file a state grant application for a study on the possible merger, regionalization of the sewer systems in Eureka, Fremont, Goldsboro, and Wayne County. Number 11.
Let me go back to 10 if I could. Does
Sure.
anybody have any objection if we put that on the consent agenda?
Well, maybe some discussion. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think it's just gonna be a briefing by the county manager. I mean, you don't have anybody else coming on that, do you?
No.
Okay.
No.
If there's no objection, I'd like to just go ahead and move that over to the consent agenda because I don't think there's any objection to it.
Oh, okay. That'd be fine.
Okay?
Number 11 goes.
Say one thing
Yeah, go ahead.
from the meeting yesterday, and you can back me up, right? They saw this thing as possibly being a pilot, regionalization kind of thing,
Yeah.
which I think will attract more dollars to prepare the system and get it up to speed.
That's correct.
And so and it's a good thing. The study's a good thing, in my
It is.
opinion. So
The other thing I should have mentioned is Fremont got turned down again. This was the 4th time on a $1.2 million grant. And some of the concern of some of the board members who voted on that, which is the Water and Sewer Capital Authority for the state, they were concerned because there hadn't been a study done to see if they should merge. They can't, one of the concerns they had was, were they gonna have to wait until the study was completed? And we had the secretary of the local government commission, so this is the person who heads that up, assured us yesterday they did not have to wait. They just had to show that the study was in fact being pursued. So the fact that we would be going after this grant would be evidence of that. And that's all they need. So the good news is Fremont can go back for that 1.2 million in September. and they're going to reapply for it,
Yeah, all we're approving here is just to apply for a grant for the study.
for the study.
For the study, okay.
And number 11, which goes along with that, and if you're gonna do 10 under consent, I'd recommend you do this. This is a resolution exempting the hiring of an engineering firm to assist in the preparation of a state grant application from the provisions of NCGS 143-6431. If you remember when we did the engineering firm for the street assessments, we entered into a contract for about $28,000 for that work. If it's less than $50,000, you can exempt yourself from going through the detailed process of advertising, getting in the request for qualifications, reviewing them, going through all that process just to hire an engineer. We only need a little bit of assistance from municipal engineering to do this application, because the application they did for us for the $820,000 loan to fix our sewer it's the same application. The only thing that'll be different is when you get to the scope of work, instead of talking about repair and sewer, it'll say to do this study, and we'll detail the study. So Mike McAllister and them could do it a whole lot quicker than we can. They've already got a lot of the information from the previous one that was only 2 or 3 months ago. So what I'm asking you to do is pass this resolution exempting us from going through all that detail, because we need to move. The deadline for this grant application is September. So I need some assistance from them to get this thing done, because our plan is, what we talked about yesterday, is we want to have this thing done no later than September 15, because they have to have their application for the 1.2 million in by the end of September. And part of their application will be showing that we have hired someone, that we have applied for the grant and we're moving forward with hiring someone. Now, what I also want to do, if you're in agreement, and I don't think you need to make a motion on this, but if you agree to this, what I want to do is, once we get the application underway, I think we have a very high likelihood of getting it. And so what I'd like to do to cut down on the lag is, we won't know till January if we get it. So what I would like to do between late September and January, with your permission, is I'd like to advertise for companies to do the study. Go ahead and have that out there, get those responses back in, evaluate them, and select somebody. But obviously we couldn't move forward with it until we got the grant. But I'm trying to cut down on the lag time of getting this study done, is what we're
Commissioner Mayo.
Just real quick, the meeting yesterday really clarified a lot of comments that have been floating around the community. In other words, we got the straight story. I felt really good when we left that meeting. I think all the elected, Mayor Flowers and Barbara Cott and her staff, they all felt good that we're not overlooked. They're looking at what we have to do in a lot of areas of our county. We have to look regionally. And so, but time is of the essence, because even though the North Wayne lift station is being repaired at this time using the Eastern Region money that we loaned to Fremont, they have 7 or 8 other lift stations that are in dire need. So time is of the essence, and I feel that from what I saw yesterday from our legislative delegation that was there, Lewis Pate and John Bell were there, I feel like that we have a real good chance of getting this through.
Yeah, and I did want to mention one other thing. They only lost this on a 4-3 vote. So they only need to change one vote.
Yeah.
And some of those folks did not have all of this information about the fact that we were pursuing this. I think when we do this, we think we've got a very high likelihood of them getting it.
Okay.
And as Ray said, those repairs need to be made, whether this is a regional system or independent systems, those repairs need to get made, and everybody in the room agreed on that.
Yeah. All right, if there's no objection, then we're gonna move 10 and 11 both under consent agenda.
Okay. Item number 12 is a motion to authorize the county manager to send a notice of termination to Waste Industries in conformance with the contractual 90-day time period, so that automatic renewal does not take place. You currently have contracts for about 23 separate buildings that the county has commercial service with, Waste Management or Waste Industries. And the problem is there are 3-year contracts, but if you don't give them a 90-day notice, they automatically renew. And there are provisions in there I don't like. I've read it in detail yesterday, and if we're going to, what I want to do is, item number 13 is then authorize me to prepare a request for proposals to provide commercial solid waste collection. We need to bid this out. Periodically, you ought to do that anyway with any contract. So we want to bid this out, and if, when we do bid it out, Mr. Parker and I are going to have a substantially different contract with whoever bids it. We're not going to have some of the stuff that's in this current contract. And I won't bore you with the details, but it's not good.
Any objection if we take those 2 trash items and put it in? All right, so those 2 also be added to the consent item.
Okay.
That's 4 and 5.
So those are the only additions. We do need a closed session.
Okay. All right, moving on here then, under, is there any other
Yes.
adjustments to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to have a motion that I'm going to put on a new business
Under new business
pertaining to the watch ban.
pertaining to the watch ban. All right, that'd be item 10. Okay. All right, any other adjustments to the agenda?
I have a motion to put on about change policy on public comments. Is that on there somewhere already?
All right, you have a motion on public comment?
Right.
Of course, Mr. Chairman, I could put my motion on the consent agenda.
I hear you on that one.
For which month?
Moving along here. Any other adjustments to the agenda? Okay. Special recognition. The first one is Wayne County 4-H member Stephen Finch, a member of the 4-H Robotics Club, and junior leader will make a short presentation on his part of his requirement to participate in the 2016 North Carolina Association of County Commissioners Youth Voice Program. Second item there is special recognition of 2 Wayne County firefighters. Third item is a presentation by Mr. George D. Williams concerning Law Enforcement Appreciation Dinner on September the 8th. Okay, any other special recognition? Then at 9:15 or soon thereafter, we'll have public comments. 9:30, we've got a public hearing to receive public comments on the adoption of the Wayne County Incentive Grant Policy, Resolution, and Agreement for a New Industry. Agreement for a new industry. Let me hear that again. Okay, that's at 9:30. Under unfinished business, is there any under unfinished business? Under the consent agenda, we've added, in addition to the budget amendments that were in your package, in addition to that, we've got the 4 items that we moved to consent agenda as well. The new business, we've got a motion to approve a resolution to adopt economic incentive grant agreement with new industry. I like that word. And that presentation is going to be made by Ms. Geddes.
New industry?
New industry.
Yeah, it'd be done by Crystal Geddes.
Okay. Item 2 is a motion to approve the Prestonwood preliminary subdivision plat. Item 3 is a motion to adopt an ordinance establishing a capital project fund for the fiber optic loop project serving the Carrier Winders Detention Center, the new 911 Center, and the Maxwell Regional Agricultural Convention Center, along with a budget amendment. And you've got a package that was
That's right.
put on here, and.
And we're gonna have Ryan Preble, our IT director, is gonna come and give you an overview of this project.
Right.
But it's to get the fiber optic to all three of these facilities, and in what order. And of course, then this sets up the capital projects fund where the money will be budgeted from. We do plan on, my recommendation to you is that you include that in the bond issue we're gonna do in January, so that we finance it that way. And so then that leads to number 4, which is a motion to approve a resolution to reimburse ourselves so that we'll front the money early on, but when those bond proceeds come in January, we get reimbursed from those proceeds for what we spent.
Okay, any question on any of that? Item 3 and 4? Item 5. Item 5 is a motion to amend the policy on SWAT and K-9 officers stipend as requested by Sheriff Larry M. Pierce.
We had been giving them about 2.5% of salary, and the sheriff just wants a straight dollar amount. This is a negligible increase, but we think this is a better way to do it. Payroll and finance agree it's a lot easier for them to handle it as a
$100 versus
$100,
2.5.
yeah, versus trying to figure the 2.5%.
Sure.
And the thing to remind you of is, they only get it if they're actually on the team. If they come off, then the stipend stops, just like the 2.5 stopped before.
All right,
But the sheriff will be here to discuss that if you want to go over that.
item 6 is a motion to approve a resolution honoring the Purple Heart recipients. And who's making that? Is there any presentation on that?
Dick Miller will be here to read it, and then we can pass it.
And you're gonna make the motion to?
I will.
Okay. Item 7 is a motion to declare 102 South John Street and 206 East Walnut Street as surplus property. Mr. Wood, I'll let you explain.
Okay, as y'all know, we've been negotiating for months with the city about the old senior center. All of y'all, I believe, toured it several months ago, and you saw the condition of it. They want to do everything they can to preserve it and try to find an investor who will do some sort of renovation and adaptive reuse project with it. So what we have come down to is, and we've discussed it, is to basically donate that property to the city and then give them $60,000 towards the renovation. A lot of that will go towards them putting a new roof on it, because that's one of the major problems with it. I want to be clear about that. The reason that we've included those other addresses is, right now our day reporting center is on the bottom floor, and above it is part of this building. So our intention here is to give them those, as you look at the storefronts along Walnut, it's 3. You have the Old Senior Citizens building, then you have a second storefront, which is just part of that building, and then the third one is the day reporting center. So we're talking about taking all of that and donating it to them. So then the next obvious question is, what are we gonna do with the day reporting center? As y'all know, we vacated where Stepping Stone was over at the health department, and we'd like to move day reporting in there. But it doesn't make sense for them to have the top floor, we have the bottom floor, and there are some issues there with that building that they're gonna have to do some serious renovation. So the more we thought about it, Kendall and I discussed it, our feeling was we should basically donate all of that portion to them. There was also some talk, and I think the Facilities Committee had discussed this as well, about whether or not we would need to keep any or all of the parking around there. Our feeling is we need to keep it all, because I think everybody agrees that we have a parking issue at the probation office in the Will R. Sullivan building, and that's who's using that parking now. So our agreement with the city would be, we give them, the survey would show the building, and that's it. There would be no additional parking with that. So that's what we're asking you to vote on. The survey is being done. I had hoped it would be completed, but we're close to having that completed, and then the board will have what it needs to do the deed. So that's our recommendation to you as we move forward with this.
All right, Commissioner Mayo.
I just had one question. What was the what was the justification or the agreement for us to appropriate $60,000 toward the renovation? What was the thinking behind that?
Basically to split the cost on a new roof. And so we're making a contribution to that.
But if you donate something to somebody, how much is the property worth? Is it worth anything much, the way it is?
No.
We had an engineering survey, if I remember, 3 years ago that said that the foundation of that building.
The foundation's good, but you've got whoever buys that is gonna have to do major work. You gotta start with a roof, and then if y'all remember, the interior was in terrible shape. So they're gonna have to do some major renovation on that.
Okay.
So, I mean, it shows on the books as having some value, but from the county standpoint, you would have to put so much money into it to make it viable that, I think the general consensus was we should donate it and be done with it.
I think the
And that's-
options were either demolition or donation.
That's right,
Okay.
That's
And it would cost us more than 60 to demolish it.
yeah.
Okay.
And the other thing is, you know, if you think about, I mean, it is a historic-looking building. It's on a key corner in downtown. It would not look good in downtown to have that gaping hole, basically, if that building were to come down.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
The 60,000, would it be, given to the city after completion of the roof project?
That's up to you. We were going to just cut them a check on it and let them go forward with it, but if you want to do that until they give us a bid, we can hold it till then.
Form discussion for y'all.
Well, I mean, are you wanting to amend the motion to state that the 60,000 would be paid upon a contract for the re-roofing? Or did you?
Well, is it gonna be stipulated that this money is gonna be used for the roof only?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so this will be designated for that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're good
All right,
there.
as long as there's a stipulation.
Yeah, it'll be designated for that.
Okay, all right, we're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not just making a donation.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, any other discussion on item 7? Item 8 is a motion to approve an agreement with the North Carolina Department of Transportation for the design and installation of 5 new Welcome to Wayne County signs and the budget amendment accordingly.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'll briefly go over this with you. Back in April of this year, the Commissioners approved a signed resolution to forward to DOT for the development of new Welcome to Wayne County signs. And subsequent to that, the University of Mount Olive had indicated an interest to us to place a tagline on those signs. And this is a revised resolution that the DOT has requested. And I've also attached an email from Dr. Kerstetter saying that the university would be responsible for their portion of that project. The sign agreement itself would be with the county, and then the university would reimburse the county for the $5,500 of their cost to be on the signs. And that resolution and subsequent documentation is in your packet, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Just for clarification purposes, we had already passed a resolution.
Right.
We are simply passing a new resolution that includes the addition of the University of Mount Olive rider
That's
on
right.
those signs. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Any questions on that? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Item 9 is the motion to approve intergovernmental agreement between Wayne County City of Goldsboro to jointly fund a marketing communications director.
Okay. When we did the budget, we included 30,000 for that, but you wanted me to explore the possibility of doing a joint position with the city. We've done that. They're in agreement to do it, or I should say the city manager's in agreement to do it. It went before their board last night. I don't know what the outcome was. They approved it. So basically what we're looking at is sharing this position. I have given you a cover memo that explains it. And then
That should be on page 49.
49. And so I've given you a memo that explains that. I tried to address, I think Commissioner Gurley had sent an email asking for more information about it. I tried to cover the things you had asked about, Joe. You also, separate from the agenda, we sent out later the job description. It took Geraldine a little more time to get that done. So you should have the job description, you have the memo explaining it, and you have the actual agreement. And basically, just to walk through it, if you go through the bullet points in there, this director would be appointed, supervised, and evaluated by the county manager with the concurrence of the city manager. The position would be a county employee. It had to be either a city or county employee for purposes of retirement and sick leave and all of that. It'll be, the position would be under the county's employment policies. The parties agree to hire the director at a mutually agreeable salary and benefits level, and they further agree to split the cost of salary and all benefits equally. So everything would be 50-50. The city would pay the county quarterly for its share of these expenses, and I believe that's the agreement we have with them about paying their tourism and development people, where we reimburse for that. We would house the director in our public information or communications department here on the 4th floor. They would supervise the other employees of that department. In addition, the employee would supervise city employees as assigned by the city manager, and maybe provided an additional office space over there for when the person's working on some of their work. What they're going to do would be develop a full marketing and communications function for county government, including developing written policies on marketing and communications matters, handling media relations, which is print, TV, radio interviews, press releases, media inquiries, press conferences, and public information requests, managing our social media platforms, conducting community outreach programs such as county-sponsored events and tour groups, brand management and graphic design of county logos and other communications, advertising, publications, managing the content of the county's website to provide fresh and interesting information, advising the elected officials, county manager, and department heads on critical communications and speeches, and managing the county's government television channel, including scheduling, production, public service announcements, departmental video production, and broadcast of Board of Commissioner meetings. Number 5 is basically what they're going to do, something very similar for the city. Number 6, the director shall split his time equally between the county and city. He will have flexibility in doing so on a weekly basis, depending on whether one of the entities has a pressing issue to address. In other words, instead of 20 hours each week, if somebody has something kind of blow up and needs more help during that, that's fine, as long as it averages out to, 20 hours each. The parties hereby commit to work cooperatively in such situations to ensure that time-sensitive work can be completed in a timely manner. The two managers will work out any scheduling conflicts that cannot be otherwise satisfactorily resolved. Number 7, in order to avoid any conflicts of interest, the parties agree that the director cannot prepare or assist in preparing information in any format, memo, press release, press conference, video, etc., for one entity that is negative toward the other entity. The director is to remain neutral and abstain from participation in any issue that may arise between the parties where they disagree on a course of action. Obviously, you can't share a position and then put that person in the middle of that. That would blow the thing up. The director shall undergo an annual evaluation by the county and city managers, and he'll be eligible for any raises the county funds in any given year under the same terms and conditions as other full-time county employees. The county manager and city manager shall meet with the director at least quarterly to determine if any aspects of the working relationship need to be improved. And then this agreement would be for a term of 2 years, beginning since they voted on it yesterday. If you decide on it, then it would be effective today. And it would renew automatically for another year if neither party gave 90 days notice of intent to terminate it. But either party can terminate the agreement without cause within 90 days. So basically, this is something that if it doesn't work out, we can get out of it in 90 days, the city can get out of it in 90 days. And that's basically it, and then you have the signatures. So it's a fairly simple agreement. Again, we would split the cost of this position, and then this position would manage our communications department, and it would manage the counties as well. I mean, the cities as well. And so that's basically it.
Okay. The next two items have been added. 10 was a motion on watch, and then 11 on public comment. We'll move on to the county manager's comments, and then the Board of Commissioners committee reports and comments. And we will have a closed session, and can we handle that closed session
Yeah,
at
we
this
go
time?
ahead now.
Okay. Is there any questions or adjustments on the agenda? Okay, do I have a motion? We go into closed session.
So moved.
Okay, we've got a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of
discussing the location or expansion of industries and businesses
of new industry.
in Wayne County.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion to go into closed session, signify by raising your right hand.